Over the past century, numerous reports from military bases, civilians, and government sources have reinforced the belief that extraterrestrial visitors may have already contacted Earth.
Many of these cases involve sightings of unidentified flying objects, humanoids, and circular vehicles, some of which have subsequently been partially confirmed by declassified files.
Before we dive into today's mysterious story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming content.
One of the earliest and most striking incidents occurred in 1948 at Kapustin Yar, a secret Soviet military testing site known as Russia's equivalent of Area 51. Radar detected a fast-moving object, prompting the launch of a fighter jet. The pilot reported a massive metallic disc moving with unreal agility. After firing upon it, the craft crashed nearby, and Soviet forces secured the wreckage. Witnesses claim that inside were small beings with large heads and dark eyes. The materials were allegedly taken underground for study, but the government has never confirmed the event.
In Spain, 1976, at Talavera La Real Air Base, 3 soldiers and a German shepherd encountered a glowing, tall humanoid with elongated limbs.
The being emitted a high-pitched sound and appeared to wear a metallic suit and helmet. An invisible barrier blocked the dog, and when the figure moved, a soldier collapsed before the others fired hundreds of shots. The entity vanished in a burst of light. Afterwards, 3 witnesses entered comas, and 1 developed neurological decline. Decades later, in 2016, Spain declassified the case.
Another famous case took place in Varginha, Brazil, in January 1996. 3 young women saw a small brown-skinned creature with a large head, red eyes, and protrusions on its forehead. Authorities quickly sealed off the area, and military vehicles were seen transporting something.
Rumors spread of multiple creatures being captured and 1 taken to a hospital. The government denied everything, attributing it to mass confusion, yet the witnesses maintained their statements.
In 1982, Soviet military divers in Lake Baikal reported seeing 3 towering humanoids around 10 feet tall, wearing tight silver suits and spherical helmets. When ordered to capture them, the divers were suddenly thrust to the surface by an invisible force, causing decompression injuries.
3 died, 4 were gravely hurt, and the incident was covered up. Local villagers reported glowing discs diving into and out of the lake, leading to theories of underwater bases or ancient coexistence. A different kind of mass encounter took place in Zimbabwe in 1994 at Ariel School near Ruwa. Dozens of children witnessed a metallic craft land near the schoolyard. Small beings with large dark eyes and elongated heads emerged. Some children reported telepathic messages warning about Earth's environmental future. Investigators interviewed them repeatedly, and their stories remained consistent, drumming up global fascination.
In the United States, 3 military videos released in 2017 by the Pentagon, FLIR 2004, Gimbal 2015, and GoFast 2015, showed unidentified aerial objects moving at impossible speeds and angles with no visible propulsion. Navy pilots expressed shock at their behavior. Despite confirming the footage as authentic, the Pentagon offered no explanation, leaving experts to note the crafts exceeded known human capabilities.
Another dramatic Soviet-era event happened in Voronezh, Russia in 1989. Witnesses saw a glowing red oval craft descend into a park.
Two tall beings and a robot exited. One used a beam of light to paralyze onlookers. After a few minutes, they re-entered the craft and departed. Investigators later found ground impressions and traces of unusual radiation.
In Arizona, 1975, logger Travis Walton disappeared after approaching a hovering UFO during a nighttime drive with his co-workers. A beam of light struck him and the craft vanished. After 5 days of searching and speculation, Walton reappeared with memories of waking aboard a craft surrounded by small beings with large eyes, and later by human-like figures wearing helmets. His story became one of the most studied abduction cases.
A major military case occurred in Rendlesham Forest, England, in 1980, near U.S. Air Force bases. Soldiers saw a triangular craft with multicolored lights and a metallic surface. Sergeant Jim Peniston touched the craft and noted strange symbols. The next day, markings on the ground and radiation traces were found. Authorities dismissed it as misidentified stars, but witnesses insisted otherwise.
Finally, in Colares, Brazil in 1977, locals experienced aggressive encounters with mysterious lights. The glowing spheres fired beams at residents, causing burns, fatigue, and fear. People avoided going outside at night, arming themselves as reports of attacks increased. Long before satellites and radar, an incident off the coast of Japan stirred similar unease. In 1803, fishermen encountered a floating, disc-shaped vessel known as the Utsuro Bune. It was metallic, fitted with glass windows, and unlike any ship known to their world. Inside sat a pale woman with strange clothing and a sealed box she refused to surrender. She spoke no language they understood. Though historians dismiss it as folklore, some argue it may be one of the earliest recorded encounters with something not of this earth. In Scotland, nearly 2 centuries later, silence once again became a witness. In August 1990, 2 men hiking near Colvine saw a diamond-shaped craft hovering motionless above the hills. They captured it in photographs as a military jet approached the scene. The craft did not retreat. It simply waited, as though unbothered by human presence, before shooting upward out of sight. The photos were taken by the authorities and hidden for decades. When one finally surfaced in 2022, it showed a clear, silent object that no official source could explain. South America would again become a stage for the unexplainable. At La Joya Air Base in Peru in 1980, over 1,000 military personnel saw a spherical craft floating above the runway. Believing it to be espionage technology, a fighter jet was sent to intercept. The pilot, Oscar Santamaria, opened fire, believing his rounds made contact, but the craft absorbed them as though it were immune to force. For more than 20 minutes, he chased it through the sky, only for it to vanish without a trace. The phenomenon was not limited to remote deserts or jungles. In July 1952, unidentified objects appeared above the heart of the United States Capitol. Radar operators in Washington, D.C. tracked multiple fast-moving targets over the White House and the Capitol. Jets were scrambled, but every attempt to intercept ended in frustration as the objects outran them with ease. Press coverage ignited fear, and the public demanded answers. The military dismissed it as atmospheric anomalies, but the witnesses, pilots, controllers, and civilians maintained that what they saw was real. Just a few years earlier, on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico, strange debris scattered across the desert had forced similar questions. Initial reports claimed a flying saucer had been recovered, only to be replaced the next day with a story about a weather balloon. Locals who handled the wreckage spoke of material that could crumple and then return to its shape.
and years later, whispers of recovered bodies emerged. Officials attempted to bury it under classified projects and technical jargon, yet Roswell refused to fade into obscurity. Encounters with unidentified craft and non-human beings continued to surface across the decades, weaving a pattern of mystery that stretched across forests, deserts, coasts, and skies. In the rugged wilderness of Northern California, a hunter named Donald Shrum found himself pursued through the night by metallic beings after witnessing a strange craft. Seeking refuge, he climbed a tree and watched as humanoid figures attempted to reach him. When one of them released a gas that blurred his senses, he fought back with flares and arrows, though his resistance seemed useless. Only when dawn approached did the entities and their craft retreat, leaving him shaken and barely conscious when his companions finally discovered him.
Years later, in 1987, a former British police officer, Philip Spencer, was hiking alone on the desolate Ilkley Moor when he spotted a small figure moving with unnatural speed. He snapped a quick photograph before seeing a metallic disc hovering in the mist. The object vanished in silence, and Spencer soon realized 2 hours of his memory had disappeared. Though his photo remained ambiguous, its subject bore features no animal or human could claim. In rural Poland in 1978, farmer Jan Wolski encountered 2 greenish, silent beings walking beside his cart. They rode with him peacefully until guiding him into a hovering craft hidden in the forest. Inside, they examined him with unfamiliar tools before returning him unharmed. Investigators later found ground traces, and psychological tests affirmed Wolski's sincerity and mental stability.
Not all sightings involved individuals. On March 13, 1997, the skies over Phoenix, Arizona lit with an enormous V-shaped formation of silent amber lights. Thousands watched in awe as the phenomenon glided across the city. Officials first denied knowledge, then dismissed the sighting as military flares. But even the state governor, who once mocked the event publicly, later confessed he had witnessed something unearthly that night. In 1957, the quiet beaches of Ubatuba, Brazil, were shaken when a glowing disc plummeted from the sky and exploded before striking the water, scattering metallic debris across the shore. Samples recovered by fishermen were analyzed and found to be magnesium of extraordinary purity, beyond conventional manufacturing capabilities. The origin of the fragments was never explained.
Another dramatic aerial encounter unfolded in 1976 over Tehran. After multiple citizens reported a brilliant object maneuvering through the night sky, 2 fighter jets attempted interception. As each approached, their systems failed. Communications, weapons, and instruments all went dead, only to reactivate once they retreated. The craft released smaller lights that darted independently before vanishing into the upper atmosphere. In 1965, French farmer Maurice Masse witnessed a craft land in his lavender fields. 2 small beings emerged, their proportions strange and their eyes unnervingly calm. One pointed a device at him, rendering him paralyzed but conscious. They surveyed the area before departing in a silent blur of motion. Investigators later found heat-altered soil and long-term damage to the vegetation at the site. Some encounters ended without closure. In 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentich reported a wingless, green-lit craft shadowing his small plane over the Bass Strait. His final transmission described the object hovering above him before silence consumed the radio and his aircraft disappeared without a trace. No wreckage was ever found. In 1976, far from deserts and borders,
4 friends camping in the secluded wilderness of Maine became unwilling witnesses to something extraordinary. Their peaceful night on Allagash Lake shifted into terror when a glowing craft advanced over the water, tracking them with an intense beam of light. Time slipped from their memories. The fire they'd left burning had nearly died when they awoke on shore, with no recollection of how they arrived. Nightmares followed for years, visions of examination tables, silent black-eyed beings, and strange instruments. Under hypnosis in 1988, each man described the same chilling details, their stories aligning with surgical precision.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. Your support helps us create more stories like this.